The film begins with Emily and Randall arriving at his family's coastal cabin for a quiet getaway. The property rests right on a tranquil beachfront alongside a few neighboring properties. At the moment, the entire area is completely deserted since these are strictly seasonal retreats. Once the summer crowd arrives, this secluded stretch normally takes on a lively community feel. For now, though, the young couple has the entire coastline completely to themselves. The moment Emily unpacks, she steps into the bathroom and instantly senses that something is wrong. The running water feels bizarre. It doesn't look or flow the way ordinary water should. Seconds later, a second anomaly catches her eye. The medicine cabinet is packed to the brim with prescription drugs, which makes absolutely no sense, given that the place was supposed to be vacant for months. Overly curious, Emily wanders into the kitchen, where yet another warning sign presents itself. The counters look freshly wiped, almost as though an uninvited guest is currently staying there. Suddenly, things get stranger. While exploring the rest of the house, a completely unknown woman walks right through the door. Startled, Emily ducks out of sight and observes the intruder from a distance. She dashes upstairs to alert Randall, but the stranger detects her movement and quietly slips outside before he can see her. Assuming it was just a misunderstanding, the couple inspects the rooms together, only to discover the woman is still lurking inside. Randall demands to know what she's doing there, but instead of explaining, she acts entirely entitled to the space. Moments later, her husband arrives and the confusing situation is finally explained. The older couple introduces themselves as Mitch and Jane, longtime companions of Randall's father. They clarify that his dad gave them full permission to use the cabin. Emily struggles to mask her irritation. She expected a private romantic trip, and now it feels like their vacation plans have been completely ruined. Randall suggests finding a different rental nearby, but Mitch instantly dismisses the idea and insists on hosting them for dinner. Randall goes along with it, but Emily is visibly uncomfortable. She steps out onto the deck for fresh air, where she spots a strangely lethargic sea slug. It barely moves, looking as though it's dying. It's an isolated detail, but one that subtly signals a deep imbalance in nature. Later that night, the group gathers around the table. Jane serves up fresh oysters that she gathered herself. The group eats them up except for Emily, who politely passes on the raw seafood. Over dinner, Emily talks about her passion for astrobiology. She explains that human life only thrives because countless cosmic variables align perfectly. The precise elements, the exact climate, the perfect distance from our star. Everything requires a delicate equilibrium. If even a single piece of that puzzle shifts, mankind cannot survive. In the end, all that would remain is floating space debris. The others can't really follow the complex science, but they find her enthusiasm captivating nonetheless. As the night rolls on, the dinner plates are cleared away. Randall serves up a secondary seafood course, leaving everyone stuffed by the end of the meal. Mid-conversation, Mitch notices the tap water feels incredibly bizarre. Its texture seems slimy, though he brushes the thought aside without much concern. Afterward, the party moves out to the screened porch, and this is where the entire mood shifts into horror. Microscopic spores are visibly floating through the open air. Normally, these organisms only exist deep underwater, so seeing them airborne is deeply alarming. Jane gets curious and walks down the steps to inspect them closer. Mitch reluctantly allows her to venture out. As she gets closer, she notices the glowing spores have blanketed virtually every surface nearby. The moment she reaches out to touch them, she breaks into a violent cough. It's not actually the spores themselves making her sick. A dense, toxic smog has rolled over the property, choking out the oxygen. Within seconds, Jane faints. Hours pass, and Jane still hasn't come back inside. Worried, Mitch goes out to find her. Back in the living room, Randall has drunk so much alcohol that he's completely oblivious to the danger. Emily notices a bizarre mist slowly seeping through the floorboards, so she slams the window shut. Unfortunately, she's already breathed it in, and before long, she passes out on the floor. Sometime past midnight, Emily abruptly jolts awake. She hears Jane hacking violently somewhere in the dark and heads down the hall to investigate. But the instant Mitch spots Emily coming toward them, he slams the bedroom door shut, locking her out completely. Confused and frightened, Emily wakes up Randall, and the two decides to barricade themselves in their bedroom for the remainder of the night. The following morning, the couple wakes up with splitting migraines, desperately needing some outdoor air. They decide to walk down to the coast. When Randall goes to the living room, they find Jane sitting frozen, staring blankly without acknowledging them. Emily walks up to inspect her condition and the sight she encounters is absolutely terrifying. Jane has completely consumed her entire stash of medication. Then Emily spots an even more horrific detail. Jane's flesh seems to be shifting unnaturally, as if parasites are squirming right beneath her skin. Terrified that something contagious is spreading, Emily and Randall bolt outside to find Mitch. After combing the beach for a while, Emily and Randall pause near the water's edge to catch their breath. Right then, Randall suddenly takes a turn for the worse. He sprints back toward the house in a blind panic, accidentally dropping both his cell phone and the car keys on the sand. Seconds after he runs off, Mitch finally walks up. By this point, he clearly knows what has overtaken his wife. Inside the cabin, Randall notices that the water coming from the faucet has completely mutated. Its tint, its odor, and its physical viscosity are completely wrong. Sensing danger, he tries to ignore the panic and looks for Emily. Suddenly, an eerie scratching sound echoes from the second floor. Thinking it's Mitch, Randall creeps up the stairs to check. But that's completely impossible because Mitch is currently outside speaking with Emily on the beach. He remarks that the ocean feels dead, then mindlessly decides to go for a swim. Initially, nothing seems wrong, but after wading deeper into the surf, Mitch is violently pulled under the waves. Emily instantly sprints toward the water to pull him out. As she dashes across the wet sand, she steps directly on a stranded jellyfish, and the sting leaves a horrific gash on her foot. Looking down, she spots something writhing inside the open wound. For a horrific moment, it appears as though a tiny parasite is boring into her flesh. Emily looks up and notices thousands of mutated jellyfish washed up along the entire coast. She runs back into the kitchen, grabs a pair of tweezers, and painfully yanks the foreign object out of her skin. Only then does she see that it's not a standard worm. It's a severed tentacle that has completely evolved into an independent, crawling organism. After cleaning and wrapping the wound, Emily changes her clothes and gets ready to flee the area. But before she can open the door, Randall suddenly stumbles in. He's completely incapacitated, dragging his body across the floorboards. His infection has turned drastically worse. Emily immediately pieced together what happened. Jane turned on him. She is completely stripped of her humanity. The organism has taken full control. Leaving everything behind, Emily and Randall flee into the woods. An infected Jane pursues them, refusing to give up the chase. They break into a neighboring vacation cottage, praying that someone can help them. The house is empty. Emily begs Randall to explain what Jane did to him, but his mind is entirely fried by the parasite. His consciousness is completely gone. Suddenly, a terrible realization hits them. The ignition keys are still sitting on the beach. While trying to map out an alternate escape route, they see another infected local staggering directly toward the cabin. There's no time to plan. They bolt out the back. Night falls and the glowing fog rolls back in, swallowing the entire landscape. As they stumble through the mist, both of their bodies begin to fail them with every step. Out of nowhere, Emily stumbles upon an abandoned cruiser. Inside, she locates a functioning police radio. She keys the mic and broadcasts a frantic SOS. A static-filled voice finally replies. The dispatcher warns her that the entire region is under quarantine. Emily assumes they mean the glowing fog, but the operator's response is far more terrifying. The fog is just the beginning. Before she can get clarification, the radio signal goes completely dead. Left without options, Emily smashes a window pane and climbs into a nearby house to escape the toxic air. Once inside, she notices the tap water has turned into a thick, unidentifiable sludge. The ecological collapse is altering everything. A television set is still broadcasting. That's when Emily finally uncovers the grim reality. This is no localized outbreak. The exact same biological nightmare is collapsing the entire global infrastructure. Scientists explain that ancient prehistoric organisms trapped deep in the ocean floor have breached the surface because global warming has pushed temperatures too high. Now that these superorganisms have adapted to land, they are aggressively replacing the existing biosphere with their own ecology. And this alien ecosystem is rapidly driving the human race toward total extinction. Realizing she must flee right now, Emily tears through the house searching for vehicle keys. Her hunt leads her down to the cellar. Hidden there, she stumbles upon a compressed oxygen tank. For a fleeting second, it feels like she's found a lifeline that can keep her safe from the poisoned atmosphere. But the infection has already won. Randall suddenly undergoes a violent seizure, and seconds later, a massive parasite bursts from his chest. Within a matter of heartbeats, the pathogen rewires his brain, and the man she knew is gone forever. As Emily retreats in sheer terror, she spots another horribly deformed creature crouching in the dark, feeding on a fresh corpse. She doesn't look back. Emily hoists the oxygen cylinder and charges back up the stairs. But an even more devastating sight is waiting for her at the top. Randall has completely changed into a monster. He lunges directly at her, leaving Emily cornered without any path of escape. Blocked into a corner, she swings the heavy metal tank to bash him before he can tear her apart. Traumatized but driven to live, Emily finally grabs the keys and breaks for the door. The world outside is completely blacked out. The toxic fog blankets everything, forcing her to drive down the road, completely blind. Suddenly, the vehicle plows directly into a tree. In the aftermath, it is shown that Emily's own skin is beginning to warp. By morning, she is seen sitting motionless on the sand. The parasite has won. Over and over, her fading consciousness repeats a single phrase, "Don't be afraid." A massive rogue wave swells from the ocean and drags her into the deep. And with that haunting shot, Emily's scientific warning comes full circle. As industrial greed altered the climate, primordial horrors hidden for millennia escaped the deep ocean and blanketed the globe, birthing a terrifying new world order while erasing human civilization from the earth. And that's where this apocalyptic nightmare comes to an end.